Hello friends, welcome to my channel SN Physics. Today I shall discuss energy band structure of solids for better understanding of electrical behavior of semiconductors. These are two identical atoms with single valence electron. An electron in isolated atom can have only certain discrete energies. Energy of the single electron at ns, say 3s or 4s level is say E0. Since the atoms are identical, energy of the second one is also E0. Suppose both are spin up electrons. That is single energy level, E0 and E0. Together, their total energy is 2E0. These two identical atoms with single valence electron are slowly brought close together. Until their electron shells begin to overlap. Now atoms are ionized because these two electrons form a separate system, so they are ionized, leaving on one electron, they become positive ions. Now atoms are ionized and electron ion as well as electron interaction leads to splitting of each individual level with energy E0 into E0 now becomes E0 plus delta E and E0 minus delta E, because interacting electron forms a single system, as I told before, and cannot occupy the same state due to Pauli's exclusion principle. Look, one spin up electron is placed at E0 plus delta E and another is placed at E0 minus delta E. Since they are both spin up, they cannot occupy same state with same energy E0 minus delta E or E0 plus delta E. So one is placed at E0 plus delta E and another is placed in E0 minus delta E. So their total energy is 2 E0. That is, energy remains same. But instead of two spin up particle, let us consider one spin up and one spin down particle. For example, two hydrogen atoms, one with spin up 1s electron and another is spin down 1s electron. Both are with energy E0. So the previous energy before coming to the closed position, their total energy is 2E0. Now, two hydrogen atoms, one with spin up 1s electron and other with spin down 1s electron, when come close together, they can both occupy E0 minus delta E energy level, and total energy of the two electrons before overlap was 2E0 and after overlap it becomes 2 times E0 minus delta E, that is 2E0 minus 2 delta E. So net change of the energy is like 2E0 minus delta E is the present energy and the previous energy was 2E0, so it is minus 2 delta E. This decrement of energy leads to the stable hydrogen molecule. Energy decreases, so hydrogen molecules become stable. The decrease of energy leads to stable hydrogen molecule. Whereas in case of helium, look at this picture. This is spin up particle, this is spin up electron, this is spin down electron. Since they are in the one shell, they must be of opposite spin according to the Pauli's exclusion principle. These two helium atoms, one spin up and spin down, this is spin up and spin down, both are with energy E0. So previous energy is 2E0 as before. In fact, total energy is 4E0 since there are two electrons. So previous energy is 2E0 plus 2E0, that is 4E0. But after when they come close together, after overlap, it is 2E0 plus delta E. That is, this becomes 2, this becomes 2, there are 2 electrons, 2 into E0 plus delta E, and another pair of electrons of energy E0 minus delta E. So net energy is 4E0, but the previous energy was also 4E0, so net change in energy is 0, so no net change. Thus, helium molecule is unstable. With this idea, this is the silicon, semiconductor silicon or germanium, these silicon say, they form covalent bonds like this. This is the electronic structure of the silicon. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p2. Single silicon atom, suppose this is the single silicon atom, they have electronic structure like this. This is energy axis. This is 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p orbitals, and in s orbital there may be 2 electrons. In p orbital maximum number of electron is 6, and so on. But at the uppermost level it is 2 because p orbital is not fulfilled. There are 2 electrons. Now if when two silicon atoms come close together, energy levels split. 1s, 2s, each levels orbitals are split. Each orbital 1s, 2p split. In crystalline silicon, this is the crystalline silicon, forming covalent bonds, each discrete atomic level splits into many energy levels. If there is capital N atoms, then there will be N energy levels. In s orbital, there may be 2 electrons, so there are 2n electrons and 2n energy levels. 2p orbital have maximum 6 electrons, so there are n atoms, there are 6n energy levels, etc., as shown in the figure. As n is large, n is almost 10 to the power 23 per cc. Thus 1s has 2n energy levels, 2p has 6n energy levels, etc. Now, the number of energy levels are so large and so close together that they can be regarded as continuous. This is known as energy band, continuous band. But if it is magnified, obviously they are discrete energy levels. Closely spaced discrete energy levels. Energy along y-axis, and this is the distance of atoms, distance between the atoms when it is come close together. So they are so closely spaced that they appears as continuous. These are called continuous bands. This is the uppermost continuous band of the silicon. We will call this valence band afterwards. It is now vacant as because there is only 2 electrons in p orbital and there are n atoms. So here 2 n atoms, 2 n electrons. Now this the diagram, energy diagram for silicon atom. This is the energy axis and this is the interatomic distance. Look, as silicon atom come close together, interatomic distances decreases. First, 3p orbital with 6n states. P may have maximum of 6 electrons. There are n atoms, so 6n states. But in the p level, there are 2 electrons, so there are 2n electrons. 6n states, but 2n electrons. But the most important point is this: first 3p orbital splits up into 2. If we take the atoms more close, then 3s level, 3s orbital splits. There may be 2 electrons in the s orbital, so there are n atoms, so 2n states with 2n electrons. There are 2 electrons in s orbital, so 2n electrons with 2n states. But the most important thing is that they are split into 2. They splits into 2. If we come further close, at the distance A is the cell size or atomic distance, then the scenario changes. Look, there are 4n state with 4n electrons. There are only 4n electrons are there in the M shell 3. So all these electrons are placed in this 4n state. This band is the lowest energy level, is called valence band, and these 2n electrons come to this band with upper band. The next upper band to the valence band, called conduction band, is now with 0 electron, that is completely vacant. This is the actual scenario of the silicon atom. Upper band with 4n states are now with 0 electron at 0 Kelvin. The energy is such that 3s2 and 3p2, that is 4n electrons, 4 electrons per atom. There are n atoms, say 4n electrons are at valence band. This is the outermost band, which is completely filled with due quota of electron, is called valence band. This is the valence band. As I told before, the outermost band, 3p is the outermost band. Look, 3p is the outermost band. 3p is the outermost band. Here 3p is the outermost band. It comes to this position in energy level diagram. This is the highest occupied level in the valence band. So the outermost band, which is completely filled with due quota of electron, is called valence band, and the next upper band, which is vacant, is called conduction band. This is the basic idea about the valence band and conduction band. But this is shown here again. If we magnify this band, They are composed of discrete energy levels, each of 10 to the power minus 22 electron volt distance between these two levels, consecutive levels. Bands are composed of closely spaced orbitals. Now, the outermost 3s 3p together, 3s 3p together band, which is completely filled up with due quota of electron, is called valence band. The allowed band just above the valence band is called conduction band. The energy gap between valence band and conduction band is called forbidden energy gap. It is called forbidden because all the energy states in valence band are filled, but conduction of electricity is only possible when electrons are available due to thermal energy or applied electric field at conduction band, due to absorption energy due to ambient temperature or applied electric field in the conduction band. Since there is no electron in the conduction band, in this type of semiconductor, the conductivity is very poor at 0 Kelvin. When this band gap is 3 electron volt of the order of 3 electron volt or large, maybe 200 electron volt, 300 electron volt or 1000 electron volt, all are called insulators, because at ordinary temperature or electric field cannot impart sufficient energy to these electrons in the valence band to move to conduction band. So conduction is zero. They are insulators. In semiconductors, this band gap, forbidden energy gap, is of the order of 1 electron volt. For germanium it is 0.72 electron volt, and for silicon it is 1.12 electron volt at room temperature. I mean at 300 Kelvin say. At 0 Kelvin, no electron can overcome forbidden energy gap. At 0 Kelvin, no electron can overcome forbidden electron gap, but at room temperature, some electron from field valence band can jump to conduction band, leaving a hole, a vacant space called hole in conduction band, which is of opposite charge of electron, that is plus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. These quasi-particle positive hole along with electron constitute a small current when electric field is applied. This is the scenario with semiconductor. In metal, conduction band and valence band overlaps due to overlap of partially filled atomic levels, and plenty of electrons are available at conduction band. Naturally, there are same number of holes in the valence band. They together constitute a appreciable current in metals. Now, along with the generation of electron hole pair, there is also recombination. When an electron jumps from valence band to conduction band, a state in the valence band becomes unoccupied. Such an unoccupied state of otherwise filled band is called hole. It can also contribute to the current flow. In fact, a hole can be considered as a quasi-particle with a charge equal to and opposite to that of the electron. Okay. As a result of an electron jump from filled valence band to the conduction band, an electron in the conduction band and a hole in the valence band becomes available for conduction of electricity. This is known as electron-hole pair generation. There is a process opposite to this generation known as recombination. In this process of recombination, an electron in the conduction band jumps to the valence band and combines with the hole there. Thus, in this process, an electron-hole pair is lost. In the sense that it will no longer be available for the conduction of electricity. In the process of recombination, some amount of energy is liberated in the form of heat in ordinary diodes or ordinary semiconductor, and if the band gap is direct band gap, then it emits light, leading to light emitting diode, which I will discuss in the next video. The generation and recombination of electron-hole pairs go on simultaneously. However, in thermal equilibrium, the rate of generation and recombination of electron-hole pairs become equal, and we get a definite number of electron-hole pairs per unit volume of the solid at a particular temperature. If the temperature of the semiconductor is increased, a new equilibrium is reached with greater electron and hole concentrations. Now, in this situation, pure semiconductor called intrinsic semiconductor has poor conductivity, as we discussed. The conductivity of the intrinsic semiconductors is very small. Moreover, we have a little control over it. The characteristics of such semiconductors can be changed drastically by adding a small percentage of impurity atoms. If the impurity atoms is pentavalent arsenic, say, then a free electron is there. If a small amount of pentavalent impurity atoms like arsenic, antimony, phosphorus is added to intrinsic semiconductor, additional impurity energy levels corresponding to the loosely bound valence electron are formed near the top of the otherwise forbidden energy gap. This is actually closer to the conduction band, and it is formed in the otherwise forbidden energy gap. The diagram is not to the scale. This difference is almost 0.05 electron volt, whereas this difference between the valence band and conduction is almost 1 electron volt, of the order of 1 electron volt. For silicon it is 1.12 electron volt, and for germanium it is 0.72 electron volt. So for this case, let us take it of the order of 1 electron volt, where it is very small, 0.05 electron volt. So it is closer to the conduction band. Why it is so? I am coming to this point. If the valence electron were completely free, if these valence electrons are close to the donor atoms, arsenic atoms, pentavalent arsenic atoms. If the valence electrons were completely free, its energy would have lied somewhere in the conduction band. Since its binding energy is 0.05 electron volt, this binding energy is 0.05 electron volt, so it is not loose enough to conduct. We have to supply this amount of energy. When it is supplied, one electron is gone to the conduction band, jumped to the conduction band. This is free electron, then it becomes ionized. This is ionized donor arsenic atom. So it is close to the conduction band. This difference is almost 0.95, but it is 0.05, so it is closer to the conduction band. So it clearly suggests that donor impurity level denoted by these dashed lines, lie about 0.05 electron volt below the conduction band edge. These new allowable levels are essentially discrete level. Those are discrete level. Those are not bands, because the impurity atoms are located far apart in the crystal, and their interaction is small. Although it is drawn in this space very closely, they are not so close. They are far apart. Impurity atoms are located far apart in the crystal, and their interaction is small. Here also, in this picture also, they are far apart. It is magnified view. Now, these impurity levels are filled at 0 Kelvin. This electron then will reside in this position at 0 Kelvin. The energy gap between impurity level and the bottom of the conduction band, this is the bottom of the conduction band, and this is the impurity level. The energy gap is 0.05 electron volt. For silicon it is 0.01 electron volt. 0.05 electron volt for silicon and 0.01 electron volt for germanium. We are dealing with silicon. So, as the temperature is elevated to room temperature, thermal excitation of practically all the electrons from impurity level into the unfilled conduction band causes appreciable conductivity through drift of electron alone. In this case, only one electron drift is shown, but at room temperature there may be many electrons go to the conduction band. Also, there are some electrons which jump from valence band to conduction band and create some holes in the valence band. Also, there are some electrons which jump from valence band to conduction band and create some holes in the valence band. Here electrons are majority and holes are minority carriers. At room temperature, some electrons are jumped to conduction band, creating a hole in the valence band, but this number is small, so they are called, these holes are minority carriers in this type. But the electrons at the room temperature all are almost in the conduction band, so majority carriers are electrons. The resulting semiconductor is called donut type or N type semiconductor. Now, if a small percentage of trivalent impurity atom like aluminium or boron or gallium or indium is added to intrinsic semiconductor, additional discrete impurity energy levels are formed near the bottom of the otherwise forbidden energy gap. There are lack of electrons here. If they try to form covalent bond, 3 covalent bonds are formed, but here is the lack of 1 electron. If electron comes from other atoms, then there will be a creation of hole. So, the levels are normally unoccupied at 0 Kelvin. So, the picture is like this. This is the aluminium impurity atom, and this level is closer to the valence band because a very small amount of energy is required for electron to leave the valence band and to occupy the acceptor level. In this case, 1 electron has gone from this valence band to occupy this hole. These are the holes. White balls are the holes. When 1 electron goes to occupy this hole, a hole is created in the valence band. This is free hole, but this electron, all these holes are bound. These are loosely bound holes, but this hole is free hole. This is the difference between these two holes. In this case also, these electrons are loosely bound, but this electron is free electron. In this case, this is the lack of electron. This is a hole. These are the holes, white balls. These are the aluminum atoms. Aluminum atom with a hole, lack of electron. Aluminum atom with lack of electron, that is hole. But this aluminum atom, as it accepts an electron from the valence band, so it becomes negative, an ionized aluminum atom, and this is the acceptor energy level. In Decker, this is shown by a dashed line and a hole, dashed line and a hole. It may be like this, dashed line, and below that dashed line there is a hole. Both type of indication, both type of symbol can be used, but the case is the same. When an electron goes to this hole position to fill up this hole, aluminum becomes negatively ionized, and as if this hole jumps to the valence band downward. So it is indicated that one hole comes to the valence band, whereas in this picture electron goes up to the conduction band. So this is opposite, hole comes to the, as if this hole comes to the valence band downwards. And this is 0.05 electron volt as before. So this is closer to the, this acceptor energy level, this is called acceptor energy level, is closer to the valence band. Silicon and germanium may also be doped with trivalent elements, and these levels are acceptor levels because they may accept an electron. They may accept an electron from the field band if the electron is excited thermally. Ionization of the acceptor level in this type of picture is equivalent to the excitation of a valence electron into the hole. In the energy band scheme, electrons are excited upward and holes downward. Apart from this, a few of the electrons from the valence band jump to the conduction band and create a few more holes in the valence band. Here holes are majority. Here holes are majority. Many electrons can jump from the valence band to fill up these holes, and so many holes are created in the valence band. So here holes are the majority carriers. At room temperature, there may be so many electrons can jump to fill up these holes, creating so many holes in the valence band which are free. These holes are loosely bound, but these holes will be free in the valence band, taking part in the conduction. So holes are majority carriers in this type of doping. These are positive type, so p-type semiconductor. And the electrons which goes to the conduction band at ambient temperature, room temperature, those are minority carriers. This resulting semiconductor is called acceptor type or p-type semiconductor.